We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing right. Jared, doing right. How are you doing today?
Doing good. New tradition. Good tradition, including the part where the can foams up. But that's okay. That's okay.
You're here.
I should probably wash my desk mat.
Yeah. And one of those things you don't really think too much about, or even like, hey, you know your keyboard there?
Well, yeah.
Take a good old air spray to it once in a while.
At the very least, turn it upside down and shake it.
That's the very least that you can do. Yeah.
This is the very, very least. But let's face fact about who our audience probably is. Just saying.
So your phone here, your charger could use a little cleaning once in a while.
Almost certainly, because most of the, you know what, Kyle, no one cares. Kyle and Jared, no one cares. No one cares about my charging habits.
I care.
Okay, well, I almost always use a magnet to charge my phone. So I'm saying
my magnet died 2 weeks ago, so I need a new one.
I have follow-up questions, but that's not what we're doing today, and we need to focus and lock in. What are we doing today, Kyle?
Great question. We are not doing a Wasteland episode, Jared. We are getting into football season here. 2025 schedule for the Big Ten is what we're going to go ahead and cover. We're going to go ahead and kind of do our yearly Big Ten preview here.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots to cover here. I know that we don't have a lot of time. We have an hour to try to get through all. What are we up to? 16 teams? 20 teams? I don't
32, 24.
Something like that.
In my mind, because I've already projected it forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already well, there's Cal and there's Stanford and there's UNC. I'm already adding these Virginia, which is my next prediction, is those 4 teams. But anyway, that's once again, stay on topic.
Yeah.
Once again, stay on topic.
All right. Let's go ahead and get right into it here. I guess is it really worth? Really, it doesn't really matter. Whatever happened in 2024 happened in 2024.
Sure.
With everything that's happening in today's age of college football, with the transfer portal and the increase in scholarships, you gotta treat each year as a new year, not be like, oh, Ohio State's the reigning champions. They're gonna be favorites to do it again this year. Which sure, yeah, they are, but so some of the other teams too is like, oh well, UCLA did terrible last year, so they're going to do terrible this year, or whatever the case may be. Or no, perfect example, Jared.
Okay.
Indiana did really well last year.
Sure did.
That was a quote unquote fluke because of their schedule, because of just how the season played out.
Okay.
And they're due to not do well this year just because of their Indiana. They have one good year and then they fall back to mediocrity.
Listen, I'm not sending them back to the playoffs, but I do have them having at least a good conference here.
I guess my point is that
they're still going to have a really good year by Indiana standards.
Yeah, each year is completely different, and you can't base off the 2025 season of what they did the previous year. Is ultimately what I was trying to get at.
And that's fair. We saw Indiana, to go back to the Indiana example, they were projected to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten last year and had a fantastic season, even with their less than stellar schedule.
Yeah.
And I think, we might look at Illinois this year as a team, and we'll get into we're gonna predict every single team's conference records. We're sticking to this conference stuff. We're gonna predict every single team's conference records at the end of the show. But Illinois is a team who's going to have a really good Big Ten conference schedule, or really good Big Ten conference record. I believe, and I think I think the record will make you think that they're a better team than they really are. Because their conference schedule is kind of weak. But we'll get into that part of it later. We will also be working through. Big shout out to the guys over at Pick Six Previews. We are using their guide as a bit of a framework for what we're doing here today. So big shouts outs to them. We're essentially going to be kind of reacting to some of their rankings and using that as a vehicle to talk about our rankings, or our, we're going to react to their stuff. So let's bring up the first slide I have here. These are the Pick Six Previews national rankings, but these are just the Big Ten teams from those national rankings. And Kyle, you said really? Ohio State is favorited to win the Big Ten, and no, they are not.
Well, I said, to be fair, I said to win it all again, but
I also don't think that's probably the case. I personally don't have Ohio State either. I don't have Ohio State repeating this year. I mean, we'll do a full Ohio State preview at some point, but I think Ohio State, the Ohio State sphere, fans and media alike, are really underplaying the fact that Ohio State had the best two coordinators in the country last year, and they've both left.
Yep.
And then, of course, a huge senior class, lots of players departing, of course. I get it, like all of that too, but you had the best coordinator pair in the country last year, and they're both gone now. And I don't think that's getting enough play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall, what the Pick Six Previews has here, and for those that's listening in and not seeing this, they have Penn State number 1 overall, not just number 1 in the Big Ten, but number 1 overall. Ohio State 3rd, Oregon 7, USC 15, the team up north 18, Indiana 23rd, Nebraska 26. Washington 31, Illinois 32, and I'll just stop there.
I'll say that Purdue is the second last team. Pick Six only does the Power 5.
4.
Excuse me, 4. Force of habit.
Who was the 68th? I actually missed that.
Stanford.
Good old Stanford.
It tracks. It tracks. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, no, Purdue's going to be really, really bad this year. Hot take. I know y'all are tuning into this, waiting to hear what I have to say about Purdue. Not going to be good.
Yeah.
Going out on a limb here.
So
not going to be good.
How do you want to handle this, Jared? Do you want to just go with each team and how? I think last year we went and gave a prediction of records, how they did.
I want to save that for
again this year, or
well, I want to save record predictions for the end of the show. I have a whole thing for that. I think just as a preseason preview, take a look at this, and for example, I'm going to say I think Penn State is overrated. And no, it's easy to say when they're the number 1 team in the country per Pick Six. I mean, they literally can only be overrated. But
I mean, they arguably have according to the Pick Six preview here, in their all Big Ten offense, they have
exactly spikes.
They have the best quarterback in Drew Aller, running back in Nicholas Singleton, backup running back in
according to who?
Cajun Allen
in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the if I can talk, they have an offensive lineman first team as well too. So, and they have a pair of other offensive linemen third team as well. So they have a pretty good offense here. Now we've had some concerns on their playmakers on the outside there, but running it down your throat, I think Penn State can really get that done this year based on the personnel that they have.
I hear that. Did they go out and get some sort of amazing wide receiver to play on the outside in the transfer portal this year? They didn't. I'm not actually gonna they did not. And also Spikes has a very important and valid question for you in the chat. And that question is, who is their head coach, Kyle? No, yes, I said
still Franklin.
Hold on. I didn't just say a wide receiver. I had qualifications on that for the record.
Yes, Franklin is still I
don't trust James Franklin.
Mm-mm.
James Franklin can't win big games.
I think I've mentioned this a number of times. Like, I have a coworker, big Penn State fan. Him and I talk a lot about college football, respect for each other. We have respect for each other's teams and all that. Both hate the team up north with a passion. We get along, even though he's a Penn State fan. But we both do agree, like, Franklin's a pretty good recruiter, but even as a Penn State fan, he's like, I cannot trust him making the right calls when the game's on the line.
James Franklin was the right guy for Penn State when they hired him. And he's taken them as far as James Franklin is capable of taking them. If they want to take the next step, I don't think it'll be with James Franklin. But that's a whole other conversation. I understand. Okay, so you said, like, oh, Pick Six has this many people in the all Big Ten team. Listen, and I'm not just calling out. I have vast respect for the Pick Six preview guys. This is not a shot at them at all. Again, vast respect for them. Any preview, not just theirs, any preview, when they're putting together these lists, they always favor the more talented teams, because you're not gonna put, it doesn't matter how good Julian Sayin is. You can't predict. You can't simply say he's going to be better than Drew Aller this year, which, by the way, is a possibility. I think especially if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, because of the offenses they play in and who Julian Sayin has to throw to. Sayin could very easily have a much better stat line this year than Drew Aller.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't just come out and say a guy who's never played a significant snap in college football is the best quarterback in the Big Ten this year. That would be a ridiculous thing to do. Point is that these rankings are always going to favor a team with a lot of returning guys. Ohio State dominated, like, the national position rankings last year because they had so many people coming back. It's just how these lists always end up turning out. And I understand, like, if you look at the last two national champions, asterisks for the one for 2 years ago, who were they? They were Big Ten teams where a bunch of people who weren't expected to returned, and therefore had incredibly talented, incredibly experienced football teams with very experienced quarterbacks, and then they ran that to the national title game. It's very easy to look at what Michigan did, asterisks, what Ohio State did, and then apply that same formula to Penn State. Thank you, Spikes. But the difference is, Michigan either, listen, one of two or maybe a combination of these two things are true about Michigan. They had a good coach and they cheated. So, like, good coaching, whether it be legitimately good coaching or not, is a subject for a different show. Ohio State, again, Ryan Day is an excellent coach. Does he have an issue with Michigan? Yes, he does. But outside of that is a really, really good coach. And as I talked about earlier in the show, has a tremendous, had the best coordinator pair in the country last year. And yes, you can be like, well, Jared, Knowles is now at Penn State. Sure is. Here's the thing, though. When Ohio State brought in Knowles, their defense was their weakness. Penn State's weakness is not their defense. If Penn State had gone out and got whoever you consider the equivalent to Knowles is, if they had gotten Chip Kelly, I'd be much more concerned. Pick whoever, you, the listener, pick your favorite offensive coordinator in college football. If they hired that guy, I'd be more concerned. But their defense was already fantastic. If they had stole Chip Kelly from us, that would be more concerning than them stealing Knowles from us.
Yeah, defense outstanding. Their offense, as I mentioned earlier, they need some help on the outsides, as they've historically have. They haven't really had a really good set of wide receivers that you have to really respect compared to other teams in the past too. So I think that's another weakness for Penn State here. Still really, really good team here. I mean, you look at last year, like they did really well. They lost by 7 points to Ohio State.
Sure.
They lost by a score to Oregon. They lost by a score to Notre Dame. All really close losses last year. So really, really close. They really close to getting it done, so to speak, too. And they get to return a lot of players on the offense, get some more experience, and their defense is still going to be really solid as well, too. And as Jared mentioned, an elite defensive coordinator to top that off, too. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Penn State is
right
top 3, top 5 in a lot of people's previews.
Look at us talking like SEC about quality losses. I mean, one of those losses was to Notre Dame. They're not in the Big Ten yet. All right. Kyle, we're already coming up on 20 minutes. And we probably need to move on. I said Penn State's overrated, and then we've been on that ever since. I think Ohio State's appropriately rated. I think they're a top 5 team. I don't think they're a top 2 team.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the top 2 teams are Texas and Oregon. That is my take. Those are the 2 teams who I expect to see in the national championship game. I think Oregon and Texas. So I think Oregon at 7 is underrated. USC and Michigan at 15 and 18. Shut up and show me. I mean, I get it. Like, after you get past like 12 or 13 teams, it becomes a bit of a grab bag. I don't see the love for USC. I think Pick 6 Previews has USC overrated here. I just don't see the talent, quite frankly. Actually, let me pull that up real quick, because I don't think we care to talk about. We already talked about Indiana. I think Nebraska will take a good step forward this year. And that's about it. Like, I don't. So I think 26 is probably good for them. So, Kyle, up on the screen right now, Pick Six previews All-Americans, and these are just the Big Ten players from these All-American teams. We're not going to read out all of these because we'd just be sitting here reading names for the next 5 minutes. But the first team is Nicholas Singleton at Penn State, first team running back.
Before we go into that, let's go and do that first ad break real quick.
Yeah,
and
no.
We'll talk about these All-Americans here. TheSloopcast.com is your go-to website for anything, everything Sloopcast related. Patreon, Discord, YouTube, merch store, Spotify, all of the lovely links over at TheSloopcast.com. We'll go ahead and take our first ad break and talk about some of these All-Americans.
Spikes asks, these are regular season rankings or final rankings? These are regular season rankings. They did do a full playoff prediction, but I think that's outside the scope of the show, and I don't want to give away all of their stuff on here. As a preseason ranking, no, I think 3 is appropriate. 3, 4, or 5, I think would be appropriate for Ohio State personally. First team All-American from the Big Ten. You have Penn State with Nicholas Singleton, Ohio State with Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare, the Purdue transfer, and Caleb Downs. Indiana gets a pair of defensive players on the board with Mikhail Kamara and D'Angelo Pons. No huge surprises here. That being said, find a USC player. I'll save you some time. There's none there. Plenty of Penn State players, plenty of Ohio State players. Indiana with more than their fair share. But again, I think there's a bit of a veteran bias there. Indiana's a very old team. But that's just how these rankings work. They're always going to listen. If you don't believe in the veteran bias in these things, how many Ohio State fans are really excited for Tegra Chabola? With all due respect to Tegra. He's third team All-American. I'm not going to explain that further out of respect for Tegra Chabola, but no.
Sonny Styles coming in the second team for Ohio State there. Carnell Tate, third team. And yeah, I think that's all the Ohio State players.
Yeah.
In the first through fourth team.
But you understand my point. I don't understand other than the brand. And a lot of people just thinking that, well, the coach was so good at Oklahoma. Surely this is the year. Surely this is the year he finally turns things around at USC. Excuse me. But I just don't see it. All right, Kyle. I'm going to look at the... this is a little bit easier to read, a little bit easier to discuss. These are the Pick Six Previews position group rankings. These are national rankings, but these are just the Big Ten teams. Once again. I have the Big Ten unit ranks up on my show notes, so if you're curious about, just ask. But Ohio State coming in at 8th with an unproven quarterback. Does that negate everything I just said about veteran bias? I don't think so. I just don't think there's that many good quarterbacks in college football this year. I think that there were a lot of, because of COVID and because of players coming back, because of NIL. I think that there was a logjam of experienced quarterbacks in college football, and I think we're starting to see the other end of that now, of there not being a lot of experienced guys coming back.
Sure.
But Penn State coming in at number 4. I mean, this is one of the few position groups where you can kind of just call it you can almost call it just one guy. And Drew Aller did make the 4th team All-American for quarterbacks, so that tracks. At wide receiver, Kyle. Wide receiver / tight end, I should say.
Color me surprised.
Penn State at 13th. If you're curious, their Big Ten ranking, as you would expect it to be, is 4th. And I don't see it. I don't see that for Penn State. Penn State,
I don't either,
and Ohio State are both represented in all 5 position group rankings. They're the only Big Ten teams to make the top 15 at each ranking. Obviously, because they were the only 2 to place for quarterback. But I do not see. I mean, they got good tight ends, so I guess that helps buoy it because it is wide receiver / tight end. So that helps. And also, when we say that Penn State doesn't have any good wide receivers, we are judging that at like an elite level.
Sure.
We're judging that at like in a top 10, top, level when we say no good wide receivers. So with the tight ends included, and with the fact that we're judging them very harshly because they have national championship expectations. So with those expectations come, hard analysis. But still, it feels wrong to have Penn State as having the 13th best pass catching group in the country.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on their decision behind that here. I'm still looking here.
I mean, you can,
I'm trying to figure out.
If you want to read the whole thing, I'm sure they explain that decision-making process, but that's not a thing we're not going to give away all of Pick 6 Preview's secrets on, that would be rude of us. So if you want to read their reasoning, you can go read their reasoning and get your own Pick 6 Preview, or maybe go listen to their podcast, and I'm sure they've explained it at some point, or like I said, you can read the guide yourselves. I've read their explanation, but again, I don't want to give away all of their stuff on the show. It's just rude. But yeah, I don't know. 13th for Penn State seems high. Also, I really like the quarterback Oregon has coming in. Had a year, played as a true freshman at UCLA under Chip Kelly. Because remember, they brought in the 2, depending on whose rankings you look at, they brought in the 2 best transfer quarterbacks the year before last. Only one of them played. The other one played as a true freshman at UCLA under Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I like him more than other people apparently like him. Is all I'm going to say there. Oregon does come in at the fifth best quarterback grouping, specifically in the Big Ten, which puts them behind Penn State and Ohio State, obviously. Indiana got a really good transfer quarterback to come in, so that makes sense. Illinois coming in at 4th. I just like Oregon more than the Pick 6 Preview guys, and I don't like Penn State as much as the Pick 6 Preview guys. I still think Penn State's a playoff team. I still think Penn State just needs to... They could win the Big Ten. but they play both Ohio State and Oregon.
They do. Yeah. That was something that we haven't really covered yet, was,
and we'll get there.
Looking at the schedules in here. Yeah, Oregon definitely, not Oregon. Penn State definitely has some tough games here. Thankfully, the Oregon and Ohio State games are one to home, one away. They're not both away. So
sure,
but it still doesn't help them out there.
Now, Penn State also comes in first in the country at the defensive line for Pick Six previews, and I'll say right now, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, they got some studs.
Penn State, I understand the rankings and I understand the hype. They have one of the best they'll probably have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They have, I would say, the best, and Pick Six Preview also says that they have the best running back room in the country, and I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think they are far and away the best running back group in the country.
You're returning a pair of 1,000-yard running backs.
Right.
Returning.
Right. Which Ohio State did last year. They didn't both get a 1,000 at Ohio State, but
sure.
they both did have 1,000-yard seasons under their belt. So once again, I understand why people are taking the formula that Michigan and Ohio State both, you can sort of loosely say that if that's the new formula in the NIL era and in the, much more freewheeling transfer portal era, if you can look at Ohio State and Michigan and say that's the new template, I understand how Penn State fits into that template. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong, but at the end of the day, James Franklin.
Yeah. Yep.
Ohio State, 5th best offensive line in the country. Key transfers there. It's hard to say how. I don't know all the other teams' offensive lines well enough to say how good that is or isn't. But I will say that it makes me feel better about the offensive line.
Especially if you look at where they have ranked for their all Big Ten offense, only one Ohio State offensive lineman rated in first, second, or third team.
Yeah, and I don't think he's the best offensive lineman on the offensive line. I don't think he's in the top 3 best offensive linemen on the offensive line personally. Ohio State is returning linebackers, so they do have the number 1 in the Big Ten, number 1 linebacker group in the Big Ten. I don't know, and by the way, once again, as far as
Styles there, yeah, that's the reason.
And as far as me not understanding the USC hype, again, if we just look at these position group rankings, they only show up once. I don't understand how you're the 15th best team in the country, and you only your best position ranking is that you have the 12th best wide receiver / tight end rooms in the country. That does not hold a ton of water for me. In the Big Ten, they are 8th at quarterback, 12th at running back. They are 3rd, like I said, at wide receiver, tight ends. 6th offensive lines, 6th defensive line, 9th linebackers, 11th defensive backs. They're good at one position. Mediocre
at everything else.
At everything else except running back and defensive back, where you're bad. I don't understand the USC hype. And quite frankly, the coaching didn't leave Oklahoma. The coach left Oklahoma. The results did not.
Yeah.
As far as you have anything else, Kyle, you want to touch on for either sort of teams overrated, underrated, position groups, All-Americans, anything in those realms you want to keep talking about?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well here. Last year, Ohio State was the talk about all the returning players. This year, it's Penn State. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, again, if that's the template, I get it. I understand the hype, but I just don't agree with it. You want to start looking at you want to start doing record predictions?
Sure. Let's go ahead and do that. You want to take a quick ad break?
Yeah. Do an early ad break so we can just focus
roll.
on it. Yeah.
We can just roll right through it. TheSloopCast.com. Again, your go-to splash page for everything and anything Sloopcast related. Merch.thesloopcast.com, where you can find some of the merchandise if you want to support Jared and I. 7071.thesloopcast.com for some non-podcast gear if you're into some of the cool designs Jared has made based on some Ohio locations, towns, cities. Some pretty good designs Jared's made over at 7071.
Get them while you can. TeePublic took down my Cleveland and Cincinnati ones because they say that they violated NFL trademark, even though they only mentioned the city.
TheSloopcast.com is your go-to link. So we're going to take our second ad break and get back to our predictions.
I didn't even imply like the football teams at all. Like, it's literally just the skyline plus the name of the city.
Sure. All right. Let's go in alphabetical order, Jared.
Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. There we go.
Let's go in alphabetical order here. I know it screws yours up here, but
yeah, it sure does.
Different.
Illinois. It sure does.
It sure does. Illinois here. Illinois, looking at their schedule.
I'm sorry. Illinois first alphabetically?
They are. Yes.
That is a weird fact. I'm sorry, that's just weird.
So Illinois
move forward.
Illinois. So okay, I'm just not going to mention out of conference at all. We're talking about just Big Ten here. So
Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, Illinois has Indiana, USC, Purdue, Ohio State, Washington, Rutgers, Maryland, Wisconsin, Nebraska.
Yeah.
I think overall it's pretty reasonable. I think it's a pretty good schedule for Illinois.
It's a soft schedule. Looking
at away games, it's Wisconsin, Washington, Purdue, and Indiana. Yes, this is a very favorable schedule for Illinois.
Of what Pick Six previews, calls the top 5 teams in the Big Ten this year, Illinois only draws one of them.
Yeah. They have Illinois at 8.5 wins as their projection. I'm sorry, no, they don't. Another website I was looking at here, I forget which one it was, but they predicted Illinois with an 8.5 wins. And Jared, you have that just in the Big Ten going 8-1.
Just in the I assume that's a national number from whatever you're looking at.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
do they have some sort of who is their out of conference? Is it anyone good?
I can tell football schedule. I can tell you that I can recognize 2 names. They go to Durham to play Duke.
Okay.
They do have home to Western Michigan.
Okay.
I had to look up who week 1 was, and it is Western Illinois.
So no, they aren't playing a good out of that. Don't real life gamble, or do. You're an adult, but 8.5 wins for the season for Illinois.
That's.
Whew.
We'll just leave it at that.
Whew. Okay, because like I have them 8-1 in conference. That's with a loss to Ohio State, which I think is totally fair and valid. I have them beating USC. That could go either way. Maybe USC is a lot better than I think that they are.
Well, the other teams aren't. Indiana, maybe it's in Bloomington. Maybe. And
then, yeah. I'm sorry, Kyle. We're not going to start acting like Bloomington is a tough place to go play. We aren't going to do that.
I know, Jared.
Outside of that, Washington might be better than we're expecting this year. Okay. But like the 4 best teams you play in the Big Ten are Ohio State, which is obviously tough. USC,
or 1,
Indiana, and Washington. Those are the toughest games. Those are the top 4 games on their entire schedule. Because as Kyle pointed out, there's no.
I would say 7-2. I would say 7-2. They lose to USC or Indiana.
I think that's valid.
Say one of those. I'd say 7-2 would be me. I
think that's valid. I didn't give myself the opportunity to be like, oh, well, between these 2 games, they'll win one of them. Like if you're looking at the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have the entire Big Ten schedule predicted. And I didn't predict really any upsets. These are just like, I think this team's better than that team, and I think this team's better than that team. Like I just went chalk with it.
Sure. All right, let's move on to next one here in alphabetical order. Indiana, the Hoosiers.
Yes.
There you go. All right.
I have them going 6-3. I have them losing to Penn State, Oregon, and Illinois. And as we discussed, that Illinois game, as we sit here in July, feels a bit like a toss-up.
Yeah.
So that could go either way.
Both Oregon and Penn State are away for them.
Okay.
Not like home would have done much of a difference, but
I mean, I don't think Indiana's going to be nearly as good this year as they were last year, but there's still talent on that team, and that's still a well-coached team. This is the type of team that could pull an upset. If you don't show up ready to play Indiana can beat you.
Sure.
And Penn State and Oregon are going to be facing teams all year. And, you know, where that falls in the schedule for each of those teams matters too. If it's sandwiched in between 2 other really tough games, then Indiana's a very easy trap game. Very easy trap game.
Sure.
So,
all right. Yeah, I think that's reasonable with what you have 6-3. Yeah. I think that sounds right.
Okay.
Iowa.
I do not have Iowa having a good Big Ten season this year.
No, just looking at who they play here, you have Penn State, Oregon, USC, Indiana as your top quarter of the Big Ten there.
And then Nebraska is a hard pull too. I mean, I think Nebraska is going to be a much better team this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Their true freshman quarterback is now all of a sudden a very experienced sophomore. You have a really good coach there who is now in his 3rd year.
Last week, yeah. Last week,
third year's a magic
in the regular
year
season.
For a coach.
Yeah, last week in the season, and they're heading on over to Nebraska as well. So, Yeah, maybe not a good pull for Iowa. So you have
And
Iowa
Spikes points out that
3-6.
Spikes points out that they get Penn State and Oregon at home. If either of those games are night games, don't play night games in Iowa City.
Look at week 11.
Not Iowa City.
Week 11. Let's just say Iowa and Oregon, week 11. If that's a night game, Iowa's coming off a bye week there. And if it's night,
listen,
maybe.
We'll find out next week if that's going to be a night game or not. Not in reality, but just because Kyle Austin and I are going to be bringing back the Big Ten game draft. You can look forward to that next week.
All right. The Terps, Maryland Terps, coming up here.
Not going to be a good year.
No.
Outside of Boston.
No.
By the way, I don't know if I actually said it. I have Iowa going 3-6. In conference this year.
That sounds right. I'm thinking
wins
4 and 5
over Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Rutgers.
I'm thinking 4 and 5. Maybe they pull one out in Nebraska. Maybe to Minnesota. Looked like you have
Minnesota's a jump game. I acknowledge that Minnesota's a jump game. That could go either way.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Maryland here. They don't have that tough of a in-conference schedule. Their toughest one, I'm just going down the list here, is home game against the team up north.
Yeah. Maryland.
They do play away from Illinois.
Maryland dodges Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon. That's amazing. And it's a damn shame they aren't good enough to take advantage of it.
Right.
That's a real damn shame. Because I'm just saying, look at just take a quick peek at Rutgers, who drew all three of them.
1-8? 1-8 for Maryland?
Yeah, I have their only win against Sparty, who I think is going to be terrible.
I have here the over-under for Maryland wins total, season total is 4.5.
That I'm gonna
and yes, they play nobody and they're out of conference. They play nobody.
Okay, that disturbing trend in not just the Big Ten, but in the Big Ten this year.
There's a lot of bad out of conference this year.
Yeah,
but that's another discussion. You have Maryland 1-8. That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that really sounds about right. The team up north.
Yeah.
Team up north, Jared. Who do they play? Of course, they play Ohio State.
But as far as they are the fourth team. Again, according to Pick Six previews, they are the fourth team in the Big Ten. So obviously they don't play themselves.
They don't.
But they dodge the other two. You know, I would say, Kyle, do you agree with this statement? There are three powerhouse teams in the Big Ten this year. Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon.
Yep.
Quick impromptu tier list. Second tier would be like Michigan, USC, maybe Indiana, maybe Nebraska.
And I think you're pushing that there.
I said maybe.
Illinois. You could add Illinois to that, but
yeah.
I would say Michigan, USC, and Illinois.
Not Washington though. Okay, we've now made it too confusing. I can't do it in my head, so let's go back to what we were doing.
So the team up north.
I will say the bottom tier for me is just MSU, UCLA, Rutgers, Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue.
You have them
maybe
going
Purdue
6-3
in their own special hell.
You have them going 6-3, losing to Ohio State, USC, and Nebraska. Yeah. They do have home to Ohio State, away to Nebraska, and away to USC as well.
Yeah, that's
They have
But again,
they have them
they
going.
dodge Penn State and Oregon, which is pretty huge for them. And I'll say
it's SI. It was SI is the site I was been looking for. SI is where I pulled the over unders here. They have the team up north going 9.5.
Okay,
wins.
So that's my prediction plus the 3 non-conference wins. Well, 9.5 doesn't get you there because that would just take you to a total of 9. And for the record, if you said to me, I think they win either the USC or the Nebraska game, I wouldn't disagree with you. Like, I don't think I could disagree with that they win one of those games. Again, I just predicting it, I had to pick win or loss.
Sure.
They get Sparty,
really
Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland, which is, as Spikes points out in the chat, which is just, that's of the bottom, 6 teams, they get 4 of them.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I was about to say they defense really good. I think there will still be a really good defense. Offense is still there's a lot of unknowns offensively and how they're going to they're going to be and if they're going to be able to score enough points to keep up with the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Penn States.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
But I feel like Michigan has at least one, not great, but pretty good out-of-conference game.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a respectable out-of-conference game.
It's Oklahoma. It's at Oklahoma.
Oh, no, that's more than respectable. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because remember they had the whole thing about like, oh well, we're going to suspend him. We're going to suspend the coach, but not for the Oklahoma. We're not going to do it for the Oklahoma game because we're going to respect him because he's a graduate from there, and we're not going to do that to him.
Yeah, I don't. Michigan's not going to get a choice. And
6-3. I think that's fine. I think that's reasonable. 6-3 there.
Not by the way, if the Vegas number is actually 9.5 wins over under, oh my God, smash that under so hard.
Smash it. All right, Big Brother Sparty here. I think it's going to be another rough year.
Terrible.
I think it's going to be
terrible.
Another rough year for them here.
Let's just fast forward through Sparty. We don't need to talk about Sparty. I have them going 1-8 with a win over UCLA. And quite frankly, they both suck. So whatever. Next team.
Jared's Golden Gophers are next.
Not my Golden Gophers. They have a pretty decent schedule. They do pull both Ohio State and Oregon, which is tough.
They do.
They pull Nebraska, who I'm pretty sure they lose to. But outside of that, they have a very bottom heavy schedule. Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Rutgers, Northwestern, Purdue. Like W after W after W after W. So while I don't like Minnesota that much this year,
don't be surprised, Jared.
I still have them going plus 500 in the conference.
Don't be surprised. You could see the Golden Gophers going into Columbus week 6 undefeated, coming in at 4-0.
Good for them. Next team.
The Cornhuskers, Nebraska.
I have Nebraska going 8-1 in conference this year.
Ooh, 8-1.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I'll say this. It probably should be 7-2. Between Michigan and USC, they probably lose one of those 2 games. But again, that's not how I did it. So if you want to say, Jared, I think it's more like 7-2. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But like, okay, so they get Penn State, who they'll lose to. They have Michigan and USC, which I gave them both wins over. but realistically, they should probably go 500 in those 2 games. Then after that, their schedule is just dog shit. Iowa and Minnesota, who I think they're both pretty easily better than. Michigan State, UCLA, Northwestern, and Maryland. They have a very bottom-heavy schedule. They have one tough game, 2 pretty good games.
Yeah. SI has them at 7.5. And
is Jared a secret
8-1?
Is Jared a secret Raiola fan? I think he's insanely talented. I think he looked great last year considering he was a true freshman, and he's not a true freshman anymore. I don't agree. It's a well-coached football team. Yes, we're talking about Nebraska. I think they're a well-coached football team. I don't think they have a ton of talent, and that's obviously going to hold them back against the better teams. But I think they take a good step forward this year. And again, that 8-1 conference prediction, that's largely off the back of a pretty weak schedule.
Sure. I don't agree with 8-1. I'm thinking more of like 6-3.
What about in
kind of what I'm
conference,
thinking?
Austin? I mean, again, the USC Michigan games, they could lose both of those games. So it's not.
Sure. All right. We got to move a little bit quicker here. I know we want to talk about Cornhuskers a little bit more, though. They do play Cincinnati, a little bit tougher opponent in week 1, but I digress. Northwestern, do you have Northwestern winning a game?
I have them beating Purdue.
I think
Purdue. I have the bottom tier of the Big Ten as Michigan State, UCLA, Rutgers, Northwestern, Maryland, and Purdue. But realistically, Purdue belongs in their own little section of tier list hell. They're going to be terrible this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are going to be. I'm just looking at who they play.
Austin says I have Northwestern 2-7. I mean, they could beat UCLA. Both of those teams are going to be pretty bad this year, so that's fine.
Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan. So they play 3 of the top 4 predicted, and top 4 Big Ten teams. Tough. Yeah. That's tough for Northwestern there.
It doesn't
Ohio
matter.
State. All right. Ohio State here,
terrible.
Jared. Penn State and the team up north are the 2 teams that are Ohio State pulled here, and there's actually quite a bit of separation then from there for the next opponents that they play.
I'm sorry, what team are we talking about? I was reading the chat.
The Buckeyes.
Oh,
the Buckeyes, Jared. I mentioned about Penn State and the team up north, and then there's a good separation of quality teams.
Yeah, Ohio State does dodge. I mean, they obviously play Michigan, who I don't think is the 4th best team in the Big Ten this year. I don't think they're the 18th best team in the country this year. But for the sake of like what Pick 6 Preview says, they are the 4th best team in the Big Ten. Outside of that, Ohio State dodges like a lot of the middle tier teams. They dodge USC, Indiana, and Nebraska. Who I would say like the middle tier again is like Michigan, USC, Indiana, Nebraska, Illinois, maybe throw Washington in there, but I don't think so. They dodge of the middle tier teams. They only play Illinois and Michigan. It gives them a lot of leeway to kind of have a bad game and not lose as a part of it. Of the bottom tier teams, they get 3 of them with UCLA, Rutgers, and Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
They might as well play a MAC team when playing Purdue. And not a good MAC team. I'm not talking like one of the better MAC teams. I'm talking like Purdue would not win the MAC this year.
No, they would not. All right. Buckeyes, you have them going undefeated.
9-0.
9-0.
Yeah. I mean, the Penn State game can go either way, but at the end of the day, James
Penn State's in Columbus. They do go up to Ann Arbor at the end of the year. They do go to Champaign in week 7 there. And Yep. I was
Cannon
just making
did,
sure
Austin.
that I was just making sure that they didn't have a bye week before that, because
Is Penn State a noon kick? Not officially, but you know damn well.
yeah, I would agree. I think 9-0. Obviously 8-1 on the table there, but yeah, I would say 9-0.
Yeah.
Oregon next here.
I have them going 9-0 in conference as well. They play Penn State. They have to go to Happy Valley, it's a long trip. It's a long trip into a place where there's not a good airport. So there's a bus ride after that trip. I don't know. They might be able to land the players into there.
And I mentioned before, week 11, actually both teams have a bye week. They do go and play on the road to
Austin
Iowa
says
in week
it's
11.
The whiteout.
In week 11 as well. So kind of circle a little bit about week 11 on the road to Iowa, with both teams coming off a bye week. Just saying.
And Oregon does dodge Ohio State, Michigan, and Nebraska. So I have them going undefeated in conference. They don't get a lot of like the real bad bottom feeders. Of the bottom tier teams, they only get 2 of them. So that does make an upset a little more possible for them.
Sure. All right. Penn State. We mentioned already 2 losses just now with Oregon and Ohio State here. But I think they do have quite a few of the lesser teams here. I see on the schedule. I see Rutgers, Northwestern, Sparty, UCLA.
Yeah. I'll say this: they are capable of winning every single game. They're capable of beating Ohio State. They're capable of beating Oregon. More so Oregon than Ohio State, because it is a whiteout. Yeah, that is a very far plane trip for the players.
SI has Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State all over unders at 10.5.
I've lost faith in what what they have to say, what Sports Illustrated has to say, but that's fine. I know it's just
for reference.
For reference, I understand it.
I agree. I think 7-2 doesn't surprise me if it's 8-1 or 9-0. 7-2, the worst. 7-2 is the worst.
I wouldn't say the worst, because James Franklin. Where Indiana or Nebraska fall in the schedule, if it's right before or right after Ohio State or Oregon, those could be trap games. Man, Penn State going 10-2 and losing exactly the 2 games you expect is the most Penn State outcome. It feels inevitable. That's what I'm saying.
Last year. That was exactly last year.
I know.
For Penn State. All right. Moving on here. Purdue, one of the worst teams in the Power 4 teams here.
Yeah, they're bad. They lose every Big Ten game. Next team.
Fair. Rutgers here. They have a pretty tough schedule.
I have them beating Purdue, and that's it. And yeah, Rutgers got a horrible schedule pull. They're the only team in the Big Ten to draw all 3: Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon.
Home to Oregon, home to Penn State, on the road to Ohio State. Shoot. At the end of the year, they play Ohio State and Penn State at the end of the year there.
They drew a ton of the teams in the middle, too. They don't get a lot of the cupcakes, only Maryland and Purdue. It's a terrible schedule pull for Rutgers.
Shiano at Media Days will be fun.
Terrible schedule pull for Rutgers. I don't know who they pissed off and about what.
Yeah. UCLA is not much better. They play some pretty tough. UCLA plays some tough teams too. Penn State, Ohio State. They play some Oregon, like tier 2. They play some tier 2, like a lot of tier 2 Big Ten teams as well. Yeah, UCLA doesn't have it much better.
No, they don't. It's not as top heavy as Rutgers, but it's super fat.
Maybe one win in there, maybe to like Maryland, maybe.
Greg Schiano took a Fox exec's wife to a Coldplay concert. Oh, that's funny. Who's next? Is that it? No. Maybe?
Well, no, I said UCLA. I said UCLA, and I don't think you heard anything I said.
No, I was too busy reading chat. I have UCLA going 0-9 in the Big Ten this year. Mostly because they don't play Purdue.
Sure. I think one game in there maybe Maryland, but yeah, they play some tough tier 2 Big Ten teams. They don't have it much better than Rutgers.
No.
USC next here. Do not play Penn State. Do not play Penn State or Ohio State, but does play Michigan and Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of all over the place then with who they play then. So
I mean, if you look at the top, 6 teams in the Big Ten this year, they only play 2 of them.
Yeah,
so that's
maybe 6 and 3. Good. 6 and 3.
So
6 and 3 or 5 and 4 in the Big Ten. I would say this year.
I have 6 and 3.
Okay. All right.
Only losses coming to Oregon, Nebraska, and Illinois. And quite frankly, they could win against Nebraska or Illinois.
Sure.
USC has a pretty favorable schedule.
Washington's next up here. They got tough. They do not play Penn State, but they have Ohio State, Oregon, and the team up north as well.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule pool at the top for them. Very thin in the middle, though.
Very thin, yeah.
They
do play a lot of lower teams, though, too.
Yeah, they pull Illinois as like their only like tier 2 team. They pull Wisconsin as like their only like tier 3-ish team. And then
I could see them winning 6 games.
UCLA, Rutgers, Maryland, and Purdue.
Mm-hmm. I could see them winning 6 games.
I jumped. We are talking about Washington. Yeah, I mean, I have them going 5 and 4, even though I don't like them that much.
Yeah, very favorable schedule. Yeah,
they could, and again, depending upon what Illinois actually is this year, because we're projecting Illinois to be pretty good, but should we?
Yeah,
is a good question. They could very easily go 6 and 3 this year, and they're not that good.
Yeah. Wisconsin, ouch. They may have one of the toughest schedules. Oh my goodness.
Wisconsin, not as top heavy as Rutgers, but yeah, my goodness, I think is the best way to say it. They're going to get Fickle fired. First off, I don't know if Fickle should still have a job.
3 and 6 is
generous.
Very generous. I'd see like 1 win, 2 wins.
I have them at 1 and 8 in the Big Ten this year. Now, there are some very winnable games in here. They could beat Minnesota. They could beat Iowa. They could beat Illinois. They're going to have one of the tougher, they have you could realistically, was Indiana a flash in the pan last year or not? I don't know. Somewhere in between. I think they were a bit of a flash in the pan, but not, I don't think they're going to be terrible this year either. But this schedule, the only team from the bottom tier that they play is Maryland. They don't get Purdue. They don't get Northwestern. They don't get Rutgers. They don't get UCLA. They don't get MSU. That is harsh.
Yeah.
And Bama on the road. Spikes, that's right. I forgot about that. They are playing Bama on the road this year at a conference.
And then the other games is Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, but they're playing Bama.
They are playing Bama that week 3. Yeah. Gosh, they could go into their they could go in their first four weeks, and they may be 1 and 3. They may be sitting 1 and 3 going into week 6.
Does Fickle make it to October?
It's not like Wisconsin to fire somebody in the middle of the season, so yes. I'm gonna say yes.
I think they've done it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Of course, that's back when they had Barry Alvarez, who would just jump in and start coaching if need be, which is I don't think would happen now.
Yeah.
Going
all
out
right.
on a limb.
All right, we are way over on time here, but yeah, I think we got looks like here in Big Ten play, your top teams. I'm just looking off what Jared has here. Ohio State 9-0, Oregon 9-0, Nebraska 8-1, Illinois 8-1, and Penn State at 7-2 are your top 5 teams there.
Yeah, that's the prediction. And that's the end of the show. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Do I have anything Kyle's corner?
I mean, we are 10 minutes over. I think no is an acceptable answer to that question.
Yeah. I always love the basketball tournament going on right now. The Carmen's Crew. Aha. I'm wearing a Crew shirt here. Aha. Carmen's Crew beginning their title defense here. I did see that they did get the win over their first opponent this weekend here. So the basketball tournament's always a fun thing to keep an eye on. So if you're into that, going on right now.
There you go. And is that the entire?
Yeah. We'll just end it there. We'll just end it there.
All right, we will just end it there. Any song requests from anyone as I look stuff up? I mean, we absolutely can do that, Austin. So I guess we just will. We can do Playing the Vapors tonight. So that's it. Tonight's ending music will be Playing the Vapors. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course support your local podcasters. Once again, these are Playing the Vapors.